Hi, folks. If you are thinking about following along for the next season and mid-season, I would recommend you go to Duckfeed.tv/tipjar and use the Amazon links there to buy your books, be they in print or in ebook form or audiobook form. All of that goes to help us whenever you buy something through that link, and it does make a big difference. For reference, the things we're discussing will be The Stand, The Mist, which is part of a short story collection called Skeleton Crew, and then moving on to Wizard and Glass. And there's going to be a couple of other things in there, too. We have 2 notable Stephen King movies coming out here pretty shortly. Yeah, it's going to be a big late summer for us. Another thing here, we initially planned to have 4 people on. Evan was late to the recording, so he's going to come in probably about like 20 minutes through. We address it and we bring him in. Just know, like, hey, there's going to be another voice here, if that will throw you off. All right, let's listen to this. Welcome to Radio Free Midworld, a podcast about the Dark Tower series of books written by Stephen King. My name is Cole Ross, and today I am joined by Chase Greenlee.
Hello.
And Murph Murphy.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, welcome back. It's been a little while. We had a long run of mostly Greers.
All those, they are the worst.
Oops, all Greers. Only Jeremy is the worst. Autumn is delightful.
He does not deserve her.
Jeez, that's uncharacteristically harsh. Yeah.
No, we love Jeremy.
Yeah. But thank you very much for hopping back on, and I think you hopped on at a really good time, because this is a fun chapter.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's a good chapter. I'm glad I missed. It would have been 2 chapters back. Kind of glad I missed that one. But
just them hanging out in town.
I was thinking more of the one when Jake comes back and we have to fight that demon. That's a little.
Yeah,
that was weird.
That's a bit of a doozy.
It's one of those ones you have to kind of tiptoe around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would have been fine with Friendly Grandma chapter. That was. It's one of the. It's not one of the best descriptions of foods in books. He's no George R.R. Martin.
Right.
But,
right. Yeah, I think we opined about all of the lamprey pie that was not present, but
right.
Yeah. So I know that both of you were relatively new to the series. Is that correct? I'm mixing people up, so I apologize if I'm doing that. Yeah. Had you continued reading in your absence from the show, or did you just kind of get caught up when I asked you to come on?
I've been kind of following along with the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little behind, so I had to do 2 chapters all at once.
Yeah.
So I'm a little Stephen King'd than usual, but I've been reading along with the show.
Yeah. And how about you, Chase?
I had unfortunately let myself fall behind. I some personal projects ended up falling behind just because I had stuff going on in my own life, and then you put out the call. I was like, I could probably get caught back up. Yeah. Oh, this is at the very end of the book. Oh, this is right there.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm reading a book in 2 days.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, no, I got caught up about 45 minutes before our scheduled start time, so this is real fresh.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yep.
and I was under the gun making the notes too, so all of this is very fresh for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but let's get into it, because this is a very action dense chapter, and there's a lot to get through, I think. So last time, our quartet arrived at the city of Lud, only to find it pretty much a Mad Max Nightmare horror show, Fallout town kind of thing.
Yep.
On a ruined bridge. This wreck of a man carrying a grenade named Gasher came up and like, yo, I'm going to take Jake. And that split up the group as Roland and Oi chased after our old friend Gasher through this, twisted maze of booby-trapped alleys and Oi followed along, which is nice. And Eddie and Susannah broke off in the other way, searching for Blaine in the Cradle of Lud. Much like last time, we are going to kind of untangle some of this stuff and present things more linearly than they are in the actual book. However, by the time it gets to, the end, when all the action is escalating, it's going to make sense to go back and forth. So just understand this is not, we're not covering things verbatim as they pop up in this chapter, which again cuts back and forth between these stories. But let's start out in the Cradle of Lud. What do you guys think of this massive Parthenon, this self-cleaning colossus?
Oh, man. So this is like you said, it's a Fallout-esque city, and some of the best parts of the Fallout thing is you see the actual parts that survived. If you will, so you've got this ruin and then the splendor amongst the ruin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is real cool. You got just the like a waterfall. It's not quite outside of our current technology level, like the self-cleaning whatever.
Yeah,
I don't. As someone who has ridden on a subway, we don't do
Right.
that.
Well, what King is describing is basically a sprinkler system that is always trained on the building itself. Yeah. Chase, how about you?
The thing that really caught me about the description was when Eddie started talking about the size, specifically describing or comparing it to Grand Central Station and Grand Central Station being considered a Greyhound station compared to what this is.
Yeah.
And I'm actually hot. Like, I just very recently came back from New York City and was in Grand Central for the first time. That building's real big.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
I was kind of dumbstruck for a second by just how tall it is from the inside and how much just vertical space you're just not using, and what they're using just for show.
Yeah, it is a big building when it is full of people, and that usually makes a full space looks relatively smaller. Imagine that about 20% bigger, but completely devoid of all people, where sound is going to carry in echoes.
Right.
Oh yeah. And only 2 trains.
Yeah. they move pretty fast. They had a lot of bandwidth.
When you got it figured out, you got to figure it out.
Yep.
Right.
What I love about this is it's an inversion of what we saw at Dutch Hill, right? The big spooky demon mansion. Normally we associate haunted houses as being these completely decrepit places that nobody goes around and takes care of because they are haunted, because there's something keeping them away. Here it's the exact opposite. The destruction never touches this place because everybody is too afraid to come here.
Well, it's haunted by a different type of ghost.
Oh yeah. What's amazing about all of this is that you think that the people who are holding twice daily lotteries in the Shirley Jackson kind of sense might be crazy and out of their minds. No, they're pretty much right. They've got a really good estimation of what's going on, and like Eddie is still not a believer that there are actually ghosts, that there are actually these malevolent spirits. But it is the old line about sufficiently advanced technology, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love this line, as they, as Maude and Jeeves, go away, saying, oh, we know you won't shoot us in the back, and we forgive you for shooting Winston. Eddie says, Jesus pumpkin pie Christ, don't you get it? You're killing each other over a piece of music that was never even released as a single. You want to see monsters? Take a good look at each other then. And when you go back to whatever fun house it is you call home, take a good look at your friends and relatives. Like, not a lot of empathy coming out of Eddie at this point.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't like Eddie as a character.
No,
I don't.
Huh?
And I feel like I'm in the minority here, but I don't really like. I've actually kind of like Roland a little bit more. Like he's starting to warm to me, but mostly because he's getting more quiet and less maybe not. I think less crazy is a bad way of saying it, but less outwardly crazy.
Right.
He's becoming less of a murder bot.
Right.
And more of a person with feelings who cares about people.
Yeah.
But Eddie is just like a guy who thinks he's funny, and he's just not.
Oh.
And I mean, that's I don't want to retread what from the last episode about riddles and jokes and things, but like I can't. I don't like them. I'm like, eh. So if there's a lottery and we have to kill one of these people, which I suspect quite a few of these, not everyone will make it to the end of the series. Like, I'm not going to shed a tear when Eddie goes.
Yeah.
Unless, character moments and he gets better.
Yeah.
Who knows? Murph hasn't read the books before.
No, that's perfectly fine. I mean, on the based on what I've said in the past, I disagree. I personally think that even if he doesn't succeed at being funny, the attempt is endearing. And his what's that? I'm just oofing. No, it's fine. We can disagree about it, but no, we can't, Cole. this particular moment is not Eddie's finest, because I think Susan has come around to viewing them with a little bit of sympathy, right? Like, oh, they live these terrible lives where life has no meaning, and so like there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing, whereas Eddie just has not gotten the memo as of yet.
Yeah.
So. It's one of those failures on his part. Inexplicable is Eddie and Susannah saying, "Hey, we're finally alone. Let's just talk about our feelings for each other for a minute. Do a little bit of rubbing up on."
Like that was nice.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, there's some flirting. There's some they race.
Oh yeah. Specifically, she says, "Race me, white boy," because he says like, "Oh, they didn't really build this with to be handicap accessible," and Susannah's like, "Game on,"
right?
She narrowly edges him out, and even though he was carrying the gigantic heavy wheelchair, it is still like this friendly competition between the two of them.
It's a very cute moment, and I'm glad we got to share it with these fake characters, one of who I don't like.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're doing this as like one of these great autumn storms that Midworld is kind of rolling in. So they describe like the whole city disappearing, behind this curtain of gray. Yeah. I don't know. Other relevant details: they get up to the front door, and our good old friends North Central Positronics have stamped their mark on it. They find out that other train that ran the Southwest line, I believe, Patricia, was called Patricia. There we go. Patricia's dead. And Eddie, is dead certain that, Blaine is the pink one. They got the colors mixed up because they all have a touch of the shine. Let's talk about Blaine himself, because I guess I want to find out for you two who are new, what did you expect him to look like?
Well, it's kind of ruined by the cover of the book.
Oh yeah,
there's my cover has a giant skull train on it.
Oh yeah, that's what my ebook cover has. Yeah.
So they started talking about a train, and I was like, all right. Though I will say my mental picture doesn't look like that. One, because the cover of the book is a blue train, which Eddie, Blaine is very clearly pink.
Right. The color of stale baseball card bubble gum. Right. I think is what they what they say. Yeah, I think that cover is supposed to be more evocative than representative.
Yeah, and I kind of get what they're going for. It's a future train, and like I'm from Florida, I see monorails all the time whenever we go by Disney World.
Yeah.
And it I think of the Disney World monorails are cool, but Blaine is cool.
Blaine has powers, and we're going to find that out. Chase, how about you? Like this kind of organic pink shape that they compare to like a whale that is almost like beached up.
Well, my initial impression of it was also a little bit spoiled because I mentioned at the beginning that I started reading this just a few days ago. I actually picked it up at this copy of it at a half-priced books the night that we talked about this.
Okay.
About me coming on, and this is, I'm not sure if this is like a first or second edition or what, but it is filled with these full-color illustrations by Ned DeMarin.
Oh yeah. These are the ones I've been using for the cover art.
Yeah,
like they have some of them like for there's like one per chapter.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And now towards the end of the book, they kind of go off the rails, just showing some really weird midworld creatures that we don't see at all. And I'm not exactly sure why these gray pterodactyls are in here, but there they are. But the one that actually shows our good buddy has it speeding away from an erupting volcano, and it's just this monorail just whizzing away. It's like, oh, that's okay. I guess that's what we're working with here.
Yeah,
certainly more comforting than Choo Choo Charlie, but.
I need to pull this up because it's a pretty good image, and people can look at their phones or whatever to get a sense of this. No, it'll be next episode where they're going to see this image. But yeah, it very much is like early 70s, sci-fi illustration. And Blaine is actually portrayed as being completely transparent at this point. And in this one, I think maybe there's a different image, but yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to those monsters.
Excellent.
Yeah. But they approach, and their way of interfacing with Blaine is this number pad, which Eddie identifies as being, something like a digital security system, right? Susannah's kind of completely baffled. It has a diamond of buttons that are numbered from, I think, 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. I forget the actual detail there. And Eddie tries it. Like, at this point, they are completely just terrified because they've heard all of these stories about, people being lit up with electric blue fire, just for daring not to answer his questions correctly, etc. And like Eddie at this point breaks. And he's like, okay, well, no response at first, and then he does a Robin Leach from the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous impression, which does get them noticed.
Yeah, oh, man. Which, as much as like he's trying to be funny, but that might be what saves him.
Maybe
because that's a pretty distinctive impression, and I guess like that's how they convince him later on that they are actually from New York and the other world. By basically rattling off cultural things from New York.
Yeah.
So I guess does Eddie have YouTube or Blaine have YouTube?
Yep. I think that Blaine has access to that from before the doors closed. I also think that Blaine, either side of Blaine, has a little bit of appreciation for a fellow imitation Smith.
Yes.
Yeah. That I think might be the case. But we're introduced to this character that we've been kind of dreading all along. First, by meeting little Blaine, who has the voice of like a small, scared child, who's been hiding from a psychotic adult in their house, saying, I'm the one he doesn't see, the one he forgot, the one he thinks he left behind in the rooms of ruin and the halls of the dead. You'll remember that line from from when Eddie put his ear up against the beam generator. Way back in the clearing. Big Blaine is the ghost in the machine, the ghost in all the machines. And so upon hearing this, Susannah, who has some knowledge of, hey, split personalities and duality, like, no, this is fucked. We have to get out of here because we're dead. And then here's one of my favorite lines, just this great moment. Too late. He's awake. He knows you're here, and he's coming.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I love, and this part of the book was written for me because I'm all for I like robots, I like AI, I like there's different parts of your personality split off into different forks and clones, and then I like it when you put a little bit of magical realism in there. Perfect.
Yeah. What do you think, Chase?
The dread of something impending like that is always going to hit me right where I live, just because as soon as they say that line, the lights start going out, if I'm remembering right.
They start turning on. Like the gigantic arc sodium lights just in pairs up the entire cradle. Tung, 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 tung. Them coming on.
It's encroaching, it's coming, there's nothing you can do about it, so get ready.
Yep.
And the bigger and scarier that thing is, the more I'm going to be like, yes, yes, more.
Yeah. And at this point,
scare me more.
Like I love the slow reveal of this, and we're going to spoil it by the end anyway. They think that, okay, Blaine is the train. Okay, fine. This reveals, wait, okay, so Blaine controls the entire cradle. That's kind of weird. And his voice, again, booms not just over the the little speaker. Like little Blaine comes over the speaker that they're talking to. Big Blaine comes over the loudspeakers that all the corpses are hanging from.
Mm-hmm.
Blaine isn't just the train. He's certainly a pain, but Blaine is the entire city. And just like we had somebody new introduced over the speakers in the in the actual story, we have a new person introduced here. We have Evan Jones Thorne, who is back from putting his kid down for the night.
Yeah, I've got my own little Blaine, and he would not just go the fuck to sleep.
Despite what Samuel L. Jackson said.
Exactly. Yeah, little Blaine is out, big Blaine is here. Let's go.
Cool. Well, I'm happy you're here because this is a fun chapter. Let's see. We're still pretty close to the beginning. And if you're listening and you're thinking, hey, that's weird, scheduling is weird. And we're doing the best we can. We're here to have fun.
Get over yourself.
Blame my 2-year-old.
Nobody suspects the 2-year-old.
I will scapegoat the shit out of that kid.
What's your 2-year-old's Twitter handler? Let's send it. It
Oh man,
I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Much less.
I'm not going to dox a toddler.
Generally considered to be bad form to dox a toddler.
I want to start a band called Big Blaine and the Toddler Doxers.
Pretty good. Anyway, so we should get going because we are at this at this really great point. We were just talking a lot of praise for Big Blaine. I have a similar weakness to kind of well-crafted AI stories, and what I like about this is Big Blaine. He is not just the train, not just the building. He's the entire city. It's not that he has achieved any kind of like sentience or humanity, and that's what he's vying for. He has been sitting and sleeping for so long, and he's been so alone that he's gone insane. Like,
has he, or is he just a robot? Like,
I mean, so the narration leads us to believe that like that is what happened. Like, over the 800 years that he's been in existence, he's just gotten weirder.
Yeah. No, I fully agree, but I just think all these stories about all these helpful robots, those are the insane robots.
Right. Yeah, the ones who would sign themselves up for that kind of life. It's funny, every time you revisit a work, you bring a new kind of context to it. And in the time, not since I last read the book by listening to it in audiobook, but in the time, since I first read these, I filled my house with AI assistants.
There you go, man.
Like, they're still really, compared to Blaine, like if Blaine is this super genius, these are goldfish. But like, I can speak up in any room in my house and have something, read off what my calendar is. And so like, oh, this is just, at some point we decided having voices in these tubes is fine.
I think I've read too much dystopian science fiction because I just cannot get down with the voice assistant. I've tried, and I technically have I technically have Cortana and Siri and Google Assistant on various devices.
Right.
And I don't use any of them.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. Everybody has different calculus for that, but yeah,
I kind of want to find a way to pit them against each other, but so far no dice.
It's kind of like fighting a humidifier and a dehumidifier.
Exactly. There was someone who did do it. I hate to. I think someone did. I think pit two against each other. Like they had them like asking questions to each other and like hooked up that way, and they they just continued to babble on, just like nonstop in a kind of a Twitch plays kind of way.
Yeah, they had like an answer bot or something hooked up to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was something. Yeah.
If we can
Teachers here.
if we can minimize the number of times we say the A name, that'd be great. Just as a matter of courtesy, because I do have to edit those out. This is the Patriots or the Lalilulelo kind of thing.
Well, everyone just needs to keep a book of riddles in their house, and they'll be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
no, just like you keep a fire extinguisher in the kitchen, and you keep a riddle book everywhere.
Taped to the back of every door, just for safety.
Like a normal person.
Right. So, they have to convince Big Blaine that they are from New York, which they do by just naming a bunch of landscapes. Blaine doesn't believe them. He knows of New York, but he says all of the doors to that where are closed.
I really like how they use that, the where there. Where there.
Yeah.
It's a good use of where.
It's a where there. It's a location that turns into another location. But they yeah, and we're gonna find out later that what he's referring to is the doors the great old one opened. This is from a couple of books down the line, but I don't think it's that huge of a spoiler. He's not referring to these magical doors that opened up on the beach. He's referring to the doors that the great old ones used to go through for entertainment. Yeah.
So for me, I think we're right at a point in the narrative where I don't quite know what's going on, but I know enough that I can start speculating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a real good point, because as soon as I actually start to get answers, they're inevitably just not as good as what I'm thinking of. But right now we're like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, we're balancing right on a tipping point, and you're gonna be okay when up through let's say all of book 4 should be safe for you in that regard. Book 5 gets a little dicey, and then book 6 starts to reveal some of the mystery.
Oh,
yeah. I'm just letting you know so you can brace for it. Yeah. But to prove that he is serious, Big Blaine just shoots some lightning off near them. Evan, we haven't gotten your opinion, because Big Blaine is a huge character. This villain in this book full of villains. Like, what's your initial read on the the tiny Blaine, Big Blaine dichotomy, or just Blaine in general?
Man, I love Blaine. Like, this entire section of the book is one of my favorites. I wasn't on the episode where you guys talked about where Jake's like kind of bizarre rambling notebooks. But I remember the first time, actually probably the first 2 times I read it, I got legitimate chills when I got to because he keeps talking about Blaine, like, Blaine is a pain, all that stuff. And then after a while, he just says, I'm pretty sure that Blaine is dangerous. And I got goosebumps the first 2 times I read that. Like, it's so creepy.
Yeah.
And so, like, just there's all these weird hints about Blaine. Like, there's the book, which if any of you guys have not looked up, I can't remember the name of the book. Charlie to Choo Choo. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I like, seriously, we talked it up in that episode. But like, go and get it. Use the Duckfeed.tv/tipjar link if you're going to get it on Amazon. But it is, it's a children's book, whatever. It's a hardbound book. But like, if you want to have, an artifact from inside this world that you love, there are few better ways to do it than to get that thing. And like, the art in it is legit unnerving.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the idea of a giant city that is insane. I legit cannot think of any other work of fiction that has done something that just balls out huge, for lack of a more eloquent term.
No, it's fine. That's about the level we're at.
Yeah, it's so good, and like little Blaine kind of understanding what's going on and being like even more scared than the main characters are is just a whole other level of creepy, because Stephen King knows how to do very, very creepy little characters.
Yeah, little kids. Like that's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a moment that is roughly around here, maybe in one of the later sections, where little Blaine warns them and says, "Hey, you better be careful." And Big Blaine hears it. You're like, "What did you say?" And they have to say, "Oh, I just cleared my throat or whatever." Like,
yeah,
which is odd because he's later. I think we're not to jump too far ahead. He very clearly knows when people are lying.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why does he let that pass?
Because it protects the fiction.
Well,
it protects his own fiction.
Right.
That's what I mean. Not like King is doing something convenient, but like if we are to believe he is insane, that is something that we even saw Detta do within the same story.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Evan. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, totally. I just dropped a couple of images into the Skype chat from the book that I was reading to Oliver tonight that I'm pretty sure Blaine appears in.
Oh, those won't go through to everybody because of the way we have it set up. But can you name the book that they are from?
The book is called Circus Train.
Oh God.
Yep.
Hey, Evan. Maybe if you join the Patreon, you could post them in the Radio Free Midworld Slack channel.
He's there.
You know what? I'm actually I am a patron, and I'm actually going to do that right now.
Gosh, if only I also paid. Wait, I mean, how could I get access?
You guys are making me feel bad.
Processing file upload.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
yeah. I can't. Yeah, no. So Evan, during the edit there, I told you to put it into the Radio Free Midworld Slack. I think you're dropping a world of shit on the people who are just in that public channel, who don't know what the fuck that you just did, leaving us the circus train. Time for fun. The circus train said,
"Here I am."
So the upsetting thing is, so if Charlie the Choo Choo has too much of a face, I think the circus train doesn't have enough of a face.
Yeah, Oliver loves this book.
Oh,
he wants to read it all the time.
Yeah,
I don't care for it.
Oh man, no, it's a big cartoon train. Doesn't have any like nose or mouth, unless
he sort of does.
He's got a mouth.
It's like the cow catcher is kind of the mouth, and the very, very front of the engine has a big red nose kind of thing. But what I'm focusing on are the eyes, which instead of being like a window or something, are just these big cartoon eyes with eyebrows. Which that isn't even part of the fiction. Like that's not part of the anatomy of a train. The eyebrow.
I mean, Blaine has eyebrows. They're just windshield wipers.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's fine.
Oh, God. I want to start another band called The Anatomy of a Train. That's man, this episode is great for me. And all the bands I'm going to start.
Just harvest them, release like just hook it up to a machine learning thing, and then just like release like a 2-song EP under that name.
Oh man, I'm gonna start a band with all my virtual assistants. Release it exclusively via Slack.
It will be a blight. So we'll see if anybody responds to that, but we should get back to the main thrust of the plot because we're like two
didn't mean to totally derail everything.
Pardon.
Yeah. But no, I legitimately was reading this book to Oliver while you guys were talking about this exact train.
Yeah, pretty good. After Eddie proves that they're from New York, by naming like, the Statue of Liberty, talk about that, like just a list of things anybody could have gotten written down from a book. Blaine's like, all right, okay, Pilgrim, I believe you. Guess what? As Eddie says later, we walked 400 miles to meet a shitty knockoff Rich Little, because Blaine, he has many voices. There's Little Blaine, there's Big Blaine, but he cycles through all of these celebrity impressions and is very, very mum on the topic of where he learned about them. And instead of answering this, his question about that, it's like, hey, ask me a question and make it a good one, or it is time for Zap Zap Town. Yeah. Let's cut over to our friends Jake, Oy, and Roland as they head through the sewers and get under the bunker. Jake and Gasher are rolling along, and Jake, after his moment of despair, again having been run ragged through this entire city, starts to believe, hey, Roland's probably alive because he would not have missed the subtle first trap and fallen into the really obvious second one. And then Gasher serenades him.
A lot of singing in this. A lot of songs and singing in this chapter.
Yep. Very, very body songs. Gasher sings in his very nice, like, Irish tenor about titties and such. And then he says, "Hey, Jake, go ahead and you sing." And Jake talks about, like, oh, my fine New York girl. And I love this detail. Jake can't sing. For all the ways that he is gifted, he is not gifted with a voice.
I forget about that every time too. Like that's such a great like dumb little detail that I forget about.
Yeah, we're so used to gunslingers being good at everything, just as a matter of course. And we find out later on that Roland is an amazing dancer, even.
Oh boy. Oh, oof.
You're
gonna get there. It is a very strange scene.
I mean, that,
if it's not a
sounds
dance
like
off,
that
I don't.
tracks.
That is one of the scenes where I can't wait to see how the movies handle it.
Oh boy. It's gonna be a dance off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a straight up like you got served. It's him and Randall Flagg just throwing down.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, and for some reason Harmar Superstars there.
They just bring all the B-boy crews. But yeah, the reason that they're singing is to keep the machines asleep, which is funny because, it's the pubes who are superstitious about this, right?
Right.
It's not supposed to be the Greys. In fact, Gasher, under the light of the neon says like, hey, isn't it great we have all this food and the pubes think this is full of monsters? And Jake makes the obvious observation, well, fucking look at yourself, man.
Right. Oh man. Yeah, he is not my favorite character.
Gasher?
Would not want to run into him in an alley.
No, he's a very good henchman though. Like as far as like evil henchman characters.
Oh yeah, he is 100% a toady.
Including his toad-like complexion.
Due
to the Mandress, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Due to the debilitating STI.
Yeah. Well, so they get to the door, and we get our first inkling of the Tick Tock Man, who Jake identifies as sounding roughly like a character from, I believe, Smokey and the Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in this world, and it's impossible for this not to be colored by Frank Muller's vocal performance. When he's doing these characters, Gasher, he sounds just like, yeah, my collie a Tread Cove, like that, like a little bit, like a like a syphilitic pirate. We have Tick Tock Man got kind of a southern drawl. It's fine, like he just sounds like like Tick Tock Man is presented as what's his name, Charles Manson, if he was a Nordic giant.
Yeah, interestingly, when I read through the books, I haven't listened to the audiobook of The Wastelands, but I always kind of pictured the Tick Tock Man as Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, huh. Yeah, that would definitely match the vocal treatment.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, appropriate.
Maybe in the movies they can get Woody Harrelson to play him.
Oh man, that would be. I think Woody Harrelson 15 years ago would have been a very good fit for that.
Yeah.
So I didn't picture him as Southern, but what is it? Oh brother, where art thou? The John Goodman.
Oh
yeah, I could see that.
Just a man kind of prone to random fits of violence.
Tick Tock Man, here we are. We have our third major villain for this third act. Like just loading it up with these just fascinating, dangerous figures. Gasher is terrified of him, and like Jake hits on something very important. Gasher might not be afraid of dying, but he is afraid of being humiliated, because Tick Tock, always a fan of process, right? Asked Gasher for the password, and Gasher, again, because of the aforementioned infection, just not that on the ball with remembering this stuff, and not literate because, look at their society.
Right.
So he asked Jake to read the cheat sheet in his in his bandana, and of course Jake leaves him dangling for just a second.
I mean, one, how did he get this cheat sheet? And two, what did he think he was going to do with it?
He was just hoping somebody else was going to be around, maybe.
Right.
Well, he got it. He got it from another
Oh, right.
Gray, like Odie or whatever it was.
Hoot,
Right.
wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Hootie.
Hootie, there it is.
It might not be Hootie. I just wanted to make a Hootie in the Blowfish joke, or set somebody else up for one.
I tried.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
I'm an alumni of the University of South Carolina, and they are all about it. So it is a matter of honor.
No, my grandfather was a regular at the Columbia Country Club, where what's his name? I was about to say Darius Rucker. No, yeah, Darius Rucker used to golf like way back in the day, and so they were frequent golf partners when they were still alive.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, very nice people.
So the Hootie and his Blowfishmen played it at your school a lot, or you just no, not Cole. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say I don't live there, man. No.
I believe one of them was an alumni.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is you're a legitimate fan. You're not some kind of Fairweather Johnson.
Oh yes.
Jesus. Oh no.
Oh Jesus.
So anyway, let's rock this like a wagon wheel on over to the next thing.
I am genuinely sorry, everybody.
You shouldn't be. Again,
Yeah.
you're at about the level we're at. None of us should feel any better or worse than anybody else. It's just a human right. No, this is.
I was apologizing to everybody listening, not to you guys.
Oh, okay.
That's fair.
No,
It's fine. We're not physically here. We can't throw knives into you for arbitrary reasons.
right for laughing on a podcast. No. Yeah. So let's this is important.
I told you about these Hootie puns.
Oh, jeez. 1 star. So okay. This is important because Gasher not being able to remember this and him having the crib sheet is important information for Jake, and he kind of knows it. We're going to cut away before we meet Tick Tock Man and go over to Roland, who is behind them. And really the only notable thing is Oi is able to follow the trail despite the fact that they're walking through a literal river of shit. And Oi is able to restrain himself from shouting Ake's name as he often does. Let's talk about Tick Tock Man and his, let's say, missile silo decorated by an insane asylum. The cross between a living room, a bunker, and a hippie crash pad.
I mean, it's a vault, right?
Yeah.
From Fallout. Like that's what it is, basically.
Yeah. it's this big neon lit room. Oh my gosh, just picturing this. It is so creepy and otherworldly and kind of like a Zardoz kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 6
neon. Just all that neon.
Yeah. we learn all of the different names for neon in this world too. Swamp gas or dim fire or whatever it is. Yeah. But Tick Tock Man is the central person of the 6 kind of gray lieutenants that are here. And he's the leader, and he's a giant of a man. And he's sitting with his leg over one arm of his chair. He's got these tight-fitting pants on. He's shirtless, and he's got a knife slung over one shoulder and a machine gun, like a Mauser machine gun, put over the other. And he's got this long gray and blonde hair. And the Greys, despite their name, are not completely decrepit like the pubes are. Again, they change places at one point, but they are all mostly kind of lifeless in the eyes, except for Tick Tock. who has this, like, again, it's impossible not to read like a Manson kind of vibe out of him, who is, active and vital. This line here is one that I singled out. His eyes were as green and curious as the eyes of a tomcat who was old enough to be wise, but not old enough to have lost that refined sense of cruelty which passes for fun in feline circles. And his kind of defining moment, aside from asking for the password, again, holding up his procedure, is killing one of his henchmen for laughing, for having the temerity to laugh on a podcast, by throwing a knife faster than even Roland could. Like, Jake's eyes cannot even track it. What do we think of TikTok, Chase?
TikTok's real cool. I like TikTok a lot, especially with how things proceed towards the end of this chapter. Setting him up to be someone that is a reoccurring villain is it makes me even more excited to continue reading on past this book, just because, like, okay, we are going to have a stable of villains that are going to keep coming back. I am on board for that. And also, since you all were talking about the physical description of TikTok, I actually have a friend who comes from a very obvious, strong Nordic stock. So I just can't, and they describe him as very Viking-like.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for me not to see this 6.5 foot tall friend of mine sitting on this throne. I was like, oh yeah, that's about right. Ooh, oh no.
Gonna look at your buddy differently from now on. Murph, how about you? Initial, or I guess just your tight paragraph on TikTok.
I feel like I've seen this villain before, but this is a good, it's the guy. He's holding court. He's got a bunch of disposable henchmen, just fit to random acts of violence. Like, I don't think a clockwork. No, that's not right. Wow. I'm trying to think of other examples of someone like this, and I'm kind of drawing a blank, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this is a good one of those.
Yes. The unpredictable person who kind of like vacillates between extremes while also holding a position of power. Like, I would see it's almost like a Tuco character from Breaking Bad a little bit.
Yeah, like that's he's every kind of crazy drug lord who rules through fear and not and fear and just random violence even.
Yeah. Like I said, I kind of always pictured TikTok as like really like Matthew McConaughey from Reign of Fire, but eviler.
Okay.
Like, I'm not totally sure why that was kind of the image that stuck in my head, but that's just kind of always how I've. Wait, was that Matthew McConaughey or was that Woody Harrelson? Now I'm behind myself.
Might have been Woody Harrelson.
I've never seen the movie.
Oh boy, you're in for a treat at some point.
Yeah, you are missing out, sort of, kind of.
I remember who this is. Another one of a good portrayal of this archetype is if you've watched Luke Cage, the Netflix.
Okay,
I haven't yet.
I don't want to spoil it, but the second main villain that comes up.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah. So the one, yeah. I don't want to spoil too much.
but a notable Luke Cage villain.
Yes. I could just say the name, Stryker.
Okay. Yeah. I just I love the idea of this villain who is very much a Manson type. Like yeah. Am I out of bounds for thinking that's what he's coded as?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, cool. And
that sounds right. And his little family going.
Yeah, and just like, he's not that smart, which we're going to find out, and he has no, absolutely no control over himself. But compared to everybody else, he has kind of been protected from the horrors and stuff, where he has the, like just the right constitution mentally in order to, face, life and blood, and kind of like not be beaten down to this kind of compliant pulp, right?
Yeah, he's not that smart, but he's sharp and he's quick, and the quote about the tomcat who's old enough to be wise but not old enough to have lost the sense of cruelty, like that was a good one to pull out, because that is exactly who that character is.
I've also got how is everyone here so buff? Because I
assume it's like prison. Like, what else are you gonna do?
Right.
I guess, but like even Nasher seems like just physically incredible.
Yeah, I think that it is literally just a life of survival of the fittest.
Right,
Yeah,
but I mean he's I don't think syphilitic is the word, but like he's like riddled with disease, but still he's just absolutely like he's stronger than I will ever be.
Yeah, and Jake even remarks on that fact. He says like I'm out of breath. I'm a little kid. We run forever, and this guy's just running circles around me.
And it's not like Jake has been in the wilderness for several weeks now. Like
right.
he should be cut out of wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's not like a function of malnutrition, because Gasher even says we have enough food to feed 500 people for 500 years.
Right.
So like they have everything they need, because of this sweet setup that they have created for themselves.
Right. And I don't know, and I get the impression that TikTok is like, of all these like super Ubermen, like TikTok is like the Ubermensch.
Yeah. He is the Uberist of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So TikTok, he has his name because he is rocking that Flava Flav style. Around his neck, he is wearing this glass coffin shaped. I read this as like a desk clock that he attached that he attached a chain to, that is kind of keeping the time. But it is keeping time incorrectly because, hey, this is Midworld and the world is moving on. And he is fascinated by Jake's Seiko watch, right? He's like, oh, like you can give this to me as tribute for passing through my lands. And this is where we get the sense that even though he is surrounded by this technology, they have lost the capacity to wake it up and use it, because he believes that the watch is going to be booby trapped. When he asks, hey, is this booby rigged? And when Jake says, well, it's not shocking me, see? He says, oh, that means nothing if it's set to the frequency of your own body. Like, TikTok has just enough information to be dangerous, but not enough to actually be effective, right?
Right. And like he seems like he knows what he can say the words, but he doesn't know what they mean.
Right.
Especially with this, what is the bipolar or unipolar or dipolar?
Right.
Like that. Like I looked up dipolar. That's just like something like water is a dipolar. Like it's a chemistry term. Yeah,
it is straight up just like a made up kind of magical technology in Midworld. Dipolar, unipolar circuits, and slow trans engines are another one we're going to find out about later. It is literally just like, hey, this is the special kind of computer that this entire city runs on. And TikTok, upon seeing that Jake has this piece of technology that he's never seen, thinks that Jake is going to be able to like help him, to be the key to like getting him to wake up the city, right?
Oh man.
and Jake makes them doesn't make the mistake of saying dipolar, unipolar. What the fuck are you talking about, you ogre? But no, he just says like, no, I think it runs on a battery. Yeah.
I love his little bit of logic, the logic trap he set there, which I think was great. He's like, oh, well, you said that it wasn't a dipolar, so therefore you must know what a dipolar is.
I mean, he has a point.
I mean, that's the sum of the.
In his mind, he has a point.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Especially if he's entering it from the starting position of this is the person we've taken against their will, and they're probably not going to want to help us. He is trying to intimidate him out, into providing information, right?
But I mean, hey Cole, do you want some tricephalin or some mycephalin?
Oh, mycephalin, because it's for me.
Oh, all right. Well, then you must know where it is. Get
I'm trapped. Get him, boys. Oh man. Jake also makes another mistake. In trying to again, stop stop TikTok from doing his Manson hypnosis again. The ways of getting people to talk. by saying, "Oh, you must be related. You must be the grandson of what's his name, Lord Quick, that we saw out there in the in the plane." And this, gives TikTok no shortage of kind of glee at like, "Oh, people know my family. That's you're absolutely right. I'm the great grandson. That's no problem. We're buddies, you see." And then Jake makes the mistake of saying, "Oh, here's the entire story of Lord Perth," which sends TikTok into a fucking fit.
Yeah.
He just lets loose and just rails on this kid. Jesus Christ.
Oh man, what? Don't ever talk about me or my grandson ever again.
Yep, there we go.
Memed it. All right.
Memed it.
Goodbye,
There
everybody.
Love this quote. He burp. Have you heard of people with short fuses? Well, I got no fuse at all. Doing that right there, and then
That's a McConaughey line.
oh, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, they released a new trailer. I'm pretty jazzed. To see this. Yeah. Quick also asks if Jake is a not C. Which Jake initially interprets as like, wait, are you asking if I'm blind?
Oh boy, yeah, this is
Yeah, but he's just referring to the fact that, hey, Nazi planes were flying in and out of this place, and I don't know what TikTok thinks Nazis are, but then Jake sets himself up to describe what an American is.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, like I thought that was going to go somewhere, but and maybe it will later. Because I mean, so Lord Perth was a Nazi, right?
No, Lord Perth was the story. It's their version of oh gosh,
David and Goliath.
Yeah, David and Goliath. There we go.
Not Lord Perth. Sorry. His grandfather was a Nazi.
Yeah, David Quick.
David Quick was so he's he's at the very least he's flying a Nazi plane.
Right, right.
He might be a Nazi. I don't know.
Maybe, but they covered up the Nazi logo with their own kind of thing, which might have been something different that the plane got there and they figured out how to fly it. Yeah,
like it could have been. Yeah, I thought they were going somewhere with that, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have maybe Roland will shoot some Nazis at some point.
Who knows? Skinheads factor in later on in the series.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I predicted
it. There you go. But yeah, during this kind of interrogation about whether or not Jake is a Nazi, he spots these two eyes kind of peeking down at him from a vent. And here's just a heartwarming kind of tale that turns into a bone-chilling tale of Roland sending Oi in for reconnaissance to tap out the number of people. Like he comes back and counts them by tapping his paw. Roland then decides, all right, well, I'm sending you in for a suicide mission. Oi, you're the new David. You're my hawk now, my little furry friend.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about Oi here.
Yeah.
I
have a soft spot for dogs.
Yeah.
This is just a smart dog.
Yeah, he's dog-esque.
The dog that can talk, which is that's a real good dog.
It's Dog Plus.
It's Mega
it's
Dog.
The sequel to Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New and improved. Yeah. So he's like, hey, all right. He whispers a couple of simple commands into Oi. And at some point here, Oi and his responses to a couple of lines here, to his name, the word heart, and to Jake says, Oi art ache, which sounds like Oi's heart aches, which is shitty. I don't want Oi's heart to ache. Come on. But yeah, Roland is using Oi to supplement his own kind of weak connection to the Quartet psychically. So smash cut over to Blaine again, with little Blaine saying, hey, hurry, he's worse than ever before. And I have to call out Frank Muller's performance for praise in the audiobook, because it is very much this very timid, broken whisper. He's worse than ever before. It's pretty great. And Eddie's like, hey, how's it going? How's the weather? Oh, what about these mid-world autumn storms? Not going to stop soon, are they? Huh? Elbow, elbow.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And Susannah decides to cut in with a riddle they couldn't solve earlier about, oh, it can be short or tall. It attends all of our conversations, etc. And we get a sense for exactly what a riddle junkie Blaine is.
Yeah, he's kind of, this is where that kind of the magical realism gets into it for me, because like, oh, an actual computer wouldn't care. They would just look it up. Mm-hmm. But like, oh, he's like a sphinx. All right, I can get into this.
and that's the thing, because like it's inherently unfair, because I get the sense that he's just like cross-referencing his databases for the answers, right? Like the idea of challenging a computer to a riddle contest, like, oh, let's challenge Wikipedia at trivia. But the fact that it's laundered through this personality that is flawed, I think, is what makes it.
It's weirdly like, so when did this book come out? Because I'm trying to. It's very weird how computers are written throughout the ages.
Yeah. I believe this was 1990 or 1991. I'm uncertain about that.
So like the internet wasn't really a thing that like people would use. Like it's there, but no one's using it. Like, I mean, I guess also Reagan was president when Eddie was alive. So
yeah. It was 1991, and Blaine is this massive networked computer, so it's not, he was built by the old ones. It's not unreasonable to assume that he would have access to that stuff.
Well, I'm just trying, in the fiction, like I don't think the idea of like a massively networked computer, well, I guess Star Trek was a thing. Yeah. The Next Generation was currently going on. So I'm just trying to, it's hard to place it back in popular culture, what we thought about computers.
Yeah. I think in 1991 at this point, computers were what Doogie Howser used instead of a diary. Yeah.
So I guess like what was it? Small Miracle, the robot girl.
Oh, Small Wonder. Yeah.
Small Wonder.
Small Wonders.
Yeah. Okay, so we're this Urkelbot.
This is ridiculous. But they saved their life by doing this, because Blaine was upping the ambient electric charge in the air, like just ready to tip it over and activate his Tesla coils or whatever. But by giving this, they caused the hair on the back of their neck to stop standing up. And Eddie's like, oh yeah, because he views everything through the lens of addiction, like Dr. Drew. He says, oh, Blaine is a riddle junkie. Hey, that is a sick burn on Dr. Drew, by the way.
Yeah, good.
It's worth doing.
Go get him, Cole.
Yep. But yes, Blaine wants more riddles, but he does not want stupid riddles. He is very clear about that. No games, right. No drama, no stupid riddles. And
they're out of luck because they've got Eddie.
Yeah. Read book 4, Murph, please. Read book 4.
Okay.
Read at least the first chapter of book 4.
I was planning on it.
But swipe left. Swipe left if under 5'11", and also if you have dumb riddles. But yes, and they, he grills them about this, and he's also like spookily good at identifying liars. Like he goes into a Humphrey Bogart impression, like to read his analysis of their voice, like 95% increase in fricative syllables as you said this thing. Like this is no good, and they have to give him what he wants, because they have in their possession both a riddle book and in their friendship someone from Gilead, a land that is known for its value on riddles. So this is like Blaine has found his stash, I believe drug people say.
He's gonna tie one on.
Yep.
the riddle, I don't know. I've got nothing. I don't do drugs, people.
Yeah, it's Let's smash cut over to the showdown with Tick Tock, because this is real good. Because Jake is at his wit's end. He, has been dragged through the city, is incredibly thirsty, and Quick is all like, "Oh, fetch me a ladle of water," which I think is the most tempting quantity of water.
It's the right amount.
Yeah.
You could dump it on yourself or drink it.
Yeah. I think it was somewhere like, that soothes when he pours it over his chest. Yeah, it's a real dick move when you have this 11-year-old who is dying of thirst in front of you. And he loses his shit after Jake says, "What the fuck are you talking about with dipolar computers? There's 100,000 of these ever fucking dipolar computers right underneath the ever fucking city, maybe 100,000, and only one that still works and won't do a damn thing except play Watch Me and run those drums. I want those computers. I want them working for me." So he wants those computers, and he wants them working for him.
And at this point, it's full out Fallout, right? Like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this could be a vault story, or like the wanderer comes across the Lud and goes into the sewer, and he sees this burnt out vault, and then he gets a voice, an audio log of Matthew McConaughey saying, "I want them dipolar computers working for me."
Yeah. I mean, so I oftentimes, and I don't know, like Evan, I'll maybe throw this to you. I oftentimes forget that this is a work of post-apocalyptic fiction, in spite of the fact that the details are kind of laced throughout. I mean, this is a good expression of that, right?
Yeah, this is I'm actually with you. This is kind of the only book that I think of in those terms.
Book 7 gets into it pretty hard.
Book 7 gets into it, but there's a lot about Book 7 that it gets into pretty hard. We'll talk about Book 7 when we get there.
2019.
Yeah. but yeah, I would agree. I think that just kind of having the knowing about technology and knowing about its capabilities and not knowing how to harness them seems like, as far as tropes go, a pretty reasonable one.
Mm-hmm.
In this kind of situation.
Yeah. I just love his rage at it.
Oh yeah. And that actually does seem like a, relatively reasonable reaction to the situation that he's in.
It is, and a point that I think King's trying to make here is that the pubes have a better understanding of what's going on here than
pretty clearly, yeah,
than the Greys, right? They understand the actual effects, whereas TikTok and the Greys know just enough about the nuts and bolts of this to have some of the mystery stripped away, which lands them well short of the actual malevolence that is in place. He sees Blaine as, something that'll play the midworld equivalent of poker, and play that music, when in reality, the people on the surface, who are subject to the whims, are much more in tune with what he actually represents. Yeah. Murph, so this was your first realization of what the God drums were. You dropped in the notes the video for Velcro Fly.
Yeah, it is an experience that you should take. For me, I thought the drums were a lot more just intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
But then Eddie says, or I think it's probably earlier in the chapter, where he names the song.
Oh yeah, it's Velcro Fly is the name of it.
Yeah, and I recommend everyone go look that up.
It is a really good video.
Yeah.
And by really good, I mean worth watching.
Yeah. And
it's something special.
And by worth watching, I mean, where's the Teenage Dirtbags?
Yeah. So I use my Teenage Dirtbags topic demand or recommendation to do that Dave Matthews Band video. And everybody should be listening to Teenage Dirtbags. It is an amazing show. But if I was thinking ahead, we would have gotten some crossover heat on Velcro Fly. But I stand by my decision because that video needed to be discussed.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. So I will lobby. I will use I will use my clout with the big wigs at Duckfeed to put some pressure on the team over on Teenage Dirtbags. We're gonna have to go through several corporate proxies, but we might get there.
You got to fill out the right forms.
Cross marketing, synergy.
You said the S word. The bit's done.
I know. Yep.
Yeah. So, but
Chinese market, Cole. Chinese market.
Oof. Yeah. You gotta be ready for the global the global start time. I don't know.
I do really like that the drums are Velcro fly, because that drum intro has always been in my brain just like a couple degrees off of We're Not Gonna Take It.
Oh, and, yeah.
Which is like that in the right context in a vacuum would be an incredibly intimidating just drum cadence. Like that drum intro is awesome, but everybody knows that song. Everybody knows that video. It's too goofy.
Yeah. Well, everybody, Velcro. I mean, if you're me, you associate it with Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. But Velcro Fly, it's kind of got a similar vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's as menacing, but it's also not as overtly goofy, I guess.
Yeah,
and
it's still pretty.
I've always just thought that was. It's still pretty goofy, but I feel like having a little bit of that is a lot more interesting than if King had given like. I'm struggling to think of another like iconic drum intro that is actually belongs to a menacing song. But
well, the thing about the drum, the Velcro Fly kind of drum intro is that it's really heavy on bass drum. It's that like that, like the that kind of steez. The only one I can think of that would like from that era that would match that would be like if you slowed down the intro to Hot for Teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might do it, but I'm reaching the limit of my knowledge of like trashy, overtly sexual mid 80s rock.
Yeah. Also, Velcro Fly has that really cool like feedback swell that kind of sounds like an air raid siren.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm pretty good with that choice.
Yeah, I really do have to. If I'm still living in Cincinnati at that time, I need to make sure that I go up to it's like north of Dayton to go see ZZ Top perform live, because who knows like how much longer that can happen. Like we are reaching. We're reaching the end of that thread.
I'm surprised they are alive.
Yep, they're alive.
You also need to bring some kind of mobile recording rig and get the drum intro to Velcro Fly.
make sure they perform it. I'll bring my Sony my Sony recorder. Yeah,
that's why when you're locked in your vault, forming up a society.
Yeah, if I want to put the fear in people, just if things are getting a little too crowded around these parts. Yeah, I also need to work on my drawl. I wasn't very happy with my performance up there, but we're okay. It's fine.
Look, you'll have all the time you need in the vault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
new accent for every group of travelers.
Yeah. So we've been talking about this for a while. We should probably go back to, so TikTok is very, very angry about these computers. And Jake decides, hey, I can actually focus this by playing my trump card, which is if I can get Quick to kill Gasher instead of me, we'll be ahead. And so he says, well, don't blame me. Look at your buddy over here who's writing your passwords down. Like, what is he, an NPC and Dishonored? Yeah. And so TikTok is like, no, I'm not going to hold you accountable for it. I just need you to tell me the truth, while Gasher ends up swinging his knife around. And at that point, Oi drops down and boom, guess what? Claws in your eye.
Oh, claws in your eye.
The second invocation of mint jelly in this chapter.
Oh yeah.
By the way, because Gasher took a glob of snot that was like mint jelly out of his nose and rubbed it on the speaker in an act of impotent defiance. Being that I was not in a mutton-based household, I have never seen mint jelly, so let us do a Google image search for that right now.
It's green. It's fine. I've had it.
No.
But only because I explicitly saw it on a store shelf and I was like, oh, I'll try that.
Yeah. No, like strange jellies are good. Like that is the that is the booth that I will seek out at a farmer's market. Is like like red pepper jelly. That sounds good.
Or a chutney. Oh man.
Oh,
A farmer's market with some chutney.
Oof. In heaven, I say. But yeah, I don't associate vitreous humor with being green. But whatever, it's still pretty jarring to have your eye torn out. It's also jarring when a little kid steals your machine gun and shoots up your leg, and then also steals your nickel-plated revolver and shoots your scalp off.
Right, man.
he was using that.
Day.
Yeah. Whew. TikTok should have kept a better, just a better watch on his shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's upsetting. That is this is a bunch of my worst fears being wrapped up into one. First, knee injuries, terrible, follows you for life, bad stuff. Take care of your knees. Second, having your eye popped. I'm terrified of getting in fights. I've never really been in a real fight outside of with my brother, primarily because I'm afraid that I will be punched in my face so hard that my eye will pop.
Okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah. And second, just the idea that my hair is a hat that I wear, as long as God wants me to wear it.
Okay. You kind of lost me on the third one, but sure.
No, but like Jake thinks that he's killed TikTok at this point, because he has shot him in the head. He sees the hole appear in his forehead and he falls down and doesn't really notice the scalp falling across. But like, this is a shitty little gun and it's just a graze, right?
Right.
Not the graze. It is a graze.
But at that point, Oi doesn't die.
No. Like TikTok is like twisting him. He's wringing him like a washcloth, but Jake stops him. So yes, I will reiterate your whew. Yeah. But yeah, TikTok is definitely diminished.
Yeah, I was actually, before we got to the last chapter, I was like, oh, okay. I thought that guy was going to stick around a little longer.
Yep. I love the way this chapter ends, by the way. We're gonna get to that. So Gasher decides, oh, you're gonna rat me out, you little punk, and starts strangling Jake like Homer's strangling Bart. And despite the fact that Roland has been sending touch signals over, saying, hey, Jake, open the door. Hey, there's a button there. Open the door. The door opens for no reason outside of Jake. Roland comes in and exits Gasher, his head exploding into a cloud of red mist as the alarms start to sound over the city. And we enter this just incredibly dire scene where, Blaine is firing off this air raid siren, telling Eddie and Susannah, like, hey, here's my latest riddle. Come on and stop me. And the pubes and grays, for their own reasons, the grays thinking, hey, our systems are failing. This is the end. And the pubes saying, oh my God, the gods of the machine are here. So we need to start killing ourselves. Like they specifically invoke Jonestown in this, Jake never lived to see it, but all of them are, ending themselves. All of them are, deciding like, hey, this is where I get off of this train. Again, no pun intended. Yeah. I hope I didn't make light of that. Like, it's specifically played for horror is what's going on. As we learn about, again, this AI that's controlling the city going insane and getting weirder and weirder. Roland is there and, giving Jake water, and he has this deja vu of the way station. Jake saved his life and he saved Jake's life. There we go. We're even. Forget about that whole dying thing. As people are jumping off of the bridge into the River Send and also lining up like sheep to the slaughter to be fed into a gigantic industrial stamping machine.
Yeah, just oof.
Yeah,
that's not a good way to go.
Might be quick.
Yeah, like
I say it might be, because who knows what that last moment is like.
Yeah, like you're still getting crushed by a giant stamping machine.
Yeah.
Also, why do we have these?
Right. Like I want to get your guys' opinion of this, because like the Fall of Blood, even before the biological weapons get released, which is going to happen later, is fucking atrocious. As you know, as what it is. Evan, like what's your read on this?
It is a hard section to read.
Yeah,
like it's. I feel like not every Stephen King book, but most of them have a section that's like you just kind of grit your teeth and cringe your way through.
Yeah.
And I feel like this might, again, like, you know, with Big Blaine, we've got an entire city that's insane. This is one of those things that is scaled up to the size of an entire city.
Yeah.
And like, you know, a lot of the time, the way that he writes those really graphic, difficult scenes is very intimate. Like when you were talking about your thing with eyes, it made me think of the cringe scene in Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
Which has to do with that exact thing, and is no good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're reading through, and it's just as rough as the very intimate individual, like graphic body horror scenes, but it's the whole city. And then you've got the people jumping off a bridge, and that's kind of disconcerting. And you've got like the people being fed into the industrial stamper, which is super disconcerting. And then the Blaine's one piece of additional information: this gas is not painless.
Yeah, that is a real like that is GLaDOS ahead of GLaDOS right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
As they sound like, hey, I've got this nerve gas, you will suffer.
Yeah. Hey, this is going to be bad.
Yeah. Huh. Chase, how about you? Like your read on this kind of whole sequence here.
I mentioned earlier that the idea of fictional characters facing this kind of impending doom is something I really like. This is too much. This is more than, I mean, it is still good. It is just very hard to read and absorb. Yeah. Because doom is coming. They just have no idea what it is. Yeah. They know something bad is happening. They're just coming at it from the wrong angles. And you know, maybe their way out is better, because, you know, like you said, it's, you know, the gas is not painless. This is going to suck a whole lot. These people are just pre-boarding, and all I'm thinking is like the image that, I mean, we've talked about the stamper already, and I'm just thinking about that guy that's actually doing the throwing into the stamper. It's like, what is his read on the situation at this point? Because right now it's like he is doing a chore in the middle of all this.
It's a very Flintstones kind of thing. It's a living.
Yeah, exactly. It's a living.
It's
for
a
the
dying.
next like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, it is watching people like kind of at their wits end, because also you talked earlier about, you know, the eye popping thing being something that kind of squicks you out a bit. Like, what would drive people to do this? Like what, like, you know, mass hysteria. That's what gets me.
Yep. An entire life of living in a cult that is all about death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have any of you guys ever read either the Unnoticeables or the Empty Ones by Robert Brockway?
I've not.
No.
Nope.
It's the first two books in a trilogy. The third one's not out yet. They're super, super good. I cannot recommend them highly enough. Just doing kind of a free plug for an author I like a lot here. But there is a kind of a recurring motif, I guess, that feels very, very inspired or informed by the Fall of Blood.
Just like an entire city self-terminating individually.
Not an entire city, but it's like an entire. I'm not even sure what to refer to it. Like cult isn't the right word. but I don't like that's the closest I can come without giving way more context than anybody who hasn't read the books cares about.
Right. What were those called in case somebody took notice?
The first one, I believe, is called The Unnoticeables, and the second one is The Empty Ones, and the author is Robert Brockway. And if you're not totally sold on reading it, one of the main antagonists is the character's name is Marco Luis, but it's Mario Lopez as a soulless demon-infested husk.
Oh God.
It is fantastic. It's so good.
I would be very curious to see about that treatment.
Yeah, it is very, very funny, and it is very, very upsetting in some very visceral sorts of ways.
Yeah.
Huh. So is this the point where I break the streak and I say, it didn't disturb me as much, but I think, and I'm trying to figure out why. And I'm like, oh, I think it's because I really like Blaine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this might be that point. I would very much like to see this because I think that I'm sympathetic to that point of view because what kind of life were these people living anyway?
Right. For me, and it's the whole one death is a tragedy, a million's a statistic. I'm much more like the kind of violence that Nasher was doing on Jake earlier in the chapter is much more disturbing to me than a bunch of people died.
If I don't correct you, a bunch of people on Twitter will. You mean Gasher?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Nope, don't
Nasher,
worry.
Gasher. Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know what that says about me and the human condition, where personal violence is disturbing, but all right, mash them up, jump off the bridge, it's fine. But there's this cool robot. All right, yeah. And I mean, and that is partially that I have a very deep and just an intense affection for robots in fiction.
Right.
And I'm thinking about Blaine. Man, I wonder if we could get him into Nier.
Don't spoil Nier for me, please.
Okay, so, oh man, Cole.
No, I know. I'm playing through every Souls game at the moment.
Yeah, I know. you just did Metal Gear Solid 2. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I desperately want it because the stuff about Metal Gear Solid 2 that is represented in Nier, and specifically Nier Automata, sign me the fuck up. My body is ready for it, man.
All right, but anyway, yeah, let's not get down that. Let's not go down that track.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, but you have sympathy for just kind of the AI, point of view of this story, right?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, because and only in the sense that Blaine's done with this. I can see why he would blow it up.
It's getting out of Dodge, like they say.
Right.
That.
Yeah. These people have been using me as a murder place for the past 800 years.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
Let's end this in style. Right. Yeah. That
said, I don't that's not a decision I would make, but I respect it. No.
I mean, if you were a completely deranged AI who had been alone for 800 years. Yeah. 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 So Blaine calls out for Roland and Jake, trying to verify, Susannah and Eddie's stories about them, saying, hey, here's this. And then he uses an oven to nuke another Gray for interrupting them, saying, hey, the walls are on fire. Nope. How rude of that. Additionally, as Blaine sends out his Wheatley cube to guide Jake and Roland through the underbelly again on this path that is along the beam. This is one of my favorite moments, maybe in the series, where Big Blaine in his gigantic booming voice says, "In the rooms, the people come and go, but I don't think any of them are talking of Michelangelo." Yeah, lean into that T.S. Eliot thing, man. Come on, give me that proof rock. I love it. It's so cheesy. It's so good.
I also like how Roland in the scene just immediately picks up, oh, this is how I should interact with this thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh, did he have AI handling techniques in Gilead? Is that a class?
He's used to dealing with demons.
Okay, fair. I guess Blaine is.
I always just kind of got the feeling that Roland is basically unflappable because he doesn't think outside of the moment very much.
Right.
Like the only thing that he thinks of in terms of foresight is, will this help me get to the tower?
Right. Like
Other than that, he doesn't really care.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why that was my take on why he had no, like, I also like that, but that was kind of my interpretation.
Yeah. It's like that is the particular edge that his survival instincts and his intuition, informed by his mad great aunt or whatever, that he calls out, are leading him to. He is making those decisions in the moment, and he has no patience for someone like Blaine. Yeah. So as they're doing this, an escalator opens up. Susannah almost falls into it, but but Jake and Roland and Oy are delivered into the cradle. And Blaine says, "Hey, guess what? This entire city is laced with these chemical and biological weapons, along with nukes. I'm going to destroy this city. You have 10 minutes, I believe. It's like 12, 11, 10, as I fire this off. Also, unless you can answer my riddle in that, here's a piece, in that time, here's a piece of information. The gas is not painless." Again, giving that GLaDOS line that we referred to earlier, and he is putting them to the test. And that is where we're going to leave our quartet. With them kind of dangling in this thread, trying to see if they will die in this dying city, right? Let's turn our attention back to Tick Tock Man, to Andrew Quick, as is his given name, and to a new friend who is also an old friend, possibly a very old friend, Richard Fannin, who decides, hey, I'm going to wake you up, Tick Tock, by saying your real name, Andrew. Andrew, hey, here you are. Are you thinking of your dad taking you to go get some cider when you were real young, when things were better? Hey, tastes like October, doesn't it, Andrew? How's it going? Yeah. Because Tick Tock is still alive, as we established, he was just grazed, but he is diminished, and he is being lorded over by this man who is not a man. This demon who is masquerading as a human form.
Yeah, and the way that concept is introduced is such a great sentence too. You put it in the show notes, but it looked like a man, but the fellow who had once been Andrew Quick had an idea it wasn't really a man at all.
Yeah,
and just the idea where it's like, this looks like a man, but it's not, according to a man who used to be a man but is now a Tick Tock Man.
Right.
Oh gosh. So
like there's just like a symmetry there that I really, really like.
Yeah.
Am I missing? Is this not the Man in Black? Am I?
Okay.
Kind of. Is that a spoiler for next time?
Here we go. Because the Man in Black initially was not supposed to be Randall Flagg, but he's kind of been retconned into being the same person. This, marauding black sorcerer who kind of goes between worlds. This is the same character who has come back, under one of his old guises, in order to manufacture, because the Randall Flagg, who is the lieutenant of the Crimson King, is also the same person as Martin O'Dim, or no, Martin and then Walter O'Dim, and like any of those previous characters who have been sorcerer advisors to prominent kings who have led to the the Kingdom of Ruins. Same person as who eventually built up that new civilization in Las Vegas after Captain Trips eliminated all of human life in America. Right.
All right.
Is Richard Fannin, is that a name from another book that I just don't recognize?
No. Look at the initials, RF.
Right, I definitely got that.
Oh no, sorry.
If Richard Fannin was the antagonist in another King book.
No, that's definitely what he's going after.
Oh, totally. But yeah, there are just so many like references to other works that I don't even bother trying to keep track most of the time.
Right. Yeah. But Richard Fannin, like they straight up call it out. Like, as he's talking to Tick Tock Man, refers to like, hey, he doesn't look like a man at all. He has these cannibals' teeth. These cannibals' teeth. He says like, I'm a man of many handles, partner. And he refers to like, hey, if you want to get in my good graces, say my life for you, like an old friend from long ago. He ended up betraying me, but that's not a problem now. Just like pledge your life to me, and you can be reborn as the Tick Tock Man, much like the Trash Can Man. Hey, you're fine, right? Like it is straight up Randall Flagg, and we're going to be talking about The Stand in between, this season and the next. Like it is pretty important to the overall like canon of this, because the Randall Flagg character, is so important to the Dark Tower mythology as a whole. I forget, Chase, Murph, have either of you read The Stand?
It is. Oh, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say I have. It's been a while though.
Okay, all right.
I have not, but it is sitting on my dresser like 3 feet away from me.
Yeah, and also 3 feet tall, because it is a very long book.
Yeah, it's a real big book, Cole. It's real big.
Sorry. I cannot cover it. At least it is longer.
Oh boy. It is
Yeah,
I think I might have told this story, but we used to take, trips from our South Carolina to Pittsburgh, visit relatives.
Mm-hmm.
I brought The Stand with me because I was a precocious like 8th grader.
Uh-huh.
And it's a full like 12-hour drive, and that's all I had to do. And once I got to my relatives, I didn't really have anything to do because this was before the internet. So I basically finished The Stand in one sitting.
Nice.
That was a long sitting.
Yeah. No, I know the deal. I finished the first 3 Harry Potter books over the course of like one particularly uneventful vacation. Like, I gotcha.
Yeah, but that's a reasonable amount to read.
I'm a very slow reader, Murph, so I'd appreciate if you didn't just kind of like just stomp all over me.
I am, I'm just gonna say 8th grade Murph could read circles around you, Cole.
Yeah, no, I'm a garbage human. That's fine. Read off. So somebody else was gonna say something there.
Oh boy.
No, there are no hard feelings. It's fine. I'm playing it up. This is just characters we play on the show.
That's exactly cool. We're gonna go get a beer after this.
Yeah,
we're actually in the same apartment.
Yeah. Hi. Evan, you were gonna say something?
I was actually just going to ask, do you still want us to do The Stand in one podcast episode?
No. Fuck no. No, it's going to be 2 episodes.
Okay.
I need to update the sign-up sheet so we can get that. No, it's going to be, I think we're gonna cut off after, like when they get to Boulder. It's going to be like before Boulder, after Boulder.
Okay, because I signed up for that one and I was just like, man, that was a mistake.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. No, it's going to be 2. Don't worry, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. But this is important. They like this specifically is a bit of fan candy that Stephen King was dropping here. He was specifically signaling to anybody who had read either The Stand or The Eyes of the Dragon, saying, "Oh shit! In case you didn't suspect that what's his name before. Now we are specifically saying Randall Flagg is in play. And his goal in this part of the fiction is to stop Roland from reaching the tower." And despite how powerful he is, he can only hope that that Blaine will fry them on the platform, but they cannot plan against it. So, hey, we got to go because he's become eccentric over the years. Poor fellow. Again, referring to Blaine. And that is the end of the Bridge and City chapter. Let's get some final thoughts going alphabetically here. Chase, what are you thinking right now where we are at?
It has been a very interesting couple of days reading this all in a rush.
Yeah. I'm still surprised you did that. You could have said like, "Hey Cole, sorry, I'll come back later."
It was fine. I honestly, like, I didn't really put a whole lot off doing it. And if I had been a little bit more disciplined in my reading, it would have been like, no, it would have been done.
No, yeah.
And honestly, like, I read in spurts like that. Like, it is, and this is about the time of year where I will do that. I read big books in very short amount of times comparatively. And otherwise, I will read like a chapter, and then they will sit on my dresser for 3 weeks, and then I will read another chapter. So it's either all or nothing for me.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of emotions kind of just coming out of the book all at once, because you've got, the insanity going on at the beginning, and then you've got this really nice middle part with the town, and then going into this really comparatively, like, after the bear and that little bit with the demon, it's a pretty low energy book, I would say. And then you hit this chapter, and they crank everything up to 11 for the entire time. And so it was really interesting kind of coming off of at the end of that. And I'm really looking forward to reading this final chapter to kind of see how King leaves it off. Because I was reading the afterword in this, and he said, like, the next book is soon. I don't know how soon, but King is prolific, so I can't imagine it would have taken him very long anyways.
No, about 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's little longer than he expected. What are you doing, King? Writing literally everything else, probably.
Probably, yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed this chapter. It was a great one for me to come back in for the show on, and I thank you for inviting me back. Yeah. And yeah, looking forward to trying to stick with it a little bit more diligently going forward.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you here. Yeah. Evan, how about you? Your kind of final summation of this chapter specifically.
I don't really know if I have one. It's such a big chapter. There's so much that happens, and we're not really done with it until we get through the first act of the next book. So yeah,
we definitely left our primary players, dangling.
Yeah, and like I feel like the first 3 books in the Dark Tower series, even though they don't stand on their own, like, you're not going to read up through the end of the Wastelands and just be like, okay, that was good, I'm done. But I do feel like the first 3 are the best, the most consistent, and have the most I can't think of the reading term for replay value. Rereadability, I guess.
Yeah, they hold up to the most scrutiny after years.
Yeah. I really enjoy this book, and I'm really happy to have a chance to talk about the first part and the last part of it, because, boy, this is a book.
Yeah. How about you, Murph? Coming back into it.
So this book had probably my 2 favorite elements of the series so far, and they are both robots. One is a bear, the other is a train.
Right.
So you start with a bear, and you end with a train. I think that's a saying. It's not.
In like a bear,
out like a train.
Yeah.
Out on a train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breakfast like a king, lunch like a bear, dinner like a train. Yeah.
Like a train.
Yeah.
Just remember, get infected by parasites and then blow up your city.
Right. if you don't do anything else today, at least do those 2 things.
Right. This ended well. I think there was a little rough parts in the middle for this whole book, but this chapter was good.
Yeah,
a lot of world building, which is what I kind of like. My favorite parts of the series so far have been the world building, and this chapter had a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, this chapter is definitely the place where we have the most disparity between the height of the old ones' kind of accomplishments, and the very, very depths of this, society of raiders that was created by deprivation and created by, just the very acts that stripped the world of its vitality that the old ones did, right? Like, we specifically see the weapons, the weapons of this place being put into the hands of people who, do not know how to use them without creating as much misery as possible. And then the weapons themselves come alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back toward the beginning of the episode, when talking about the cradle itself, I made the observation that, it is an inversion of the usual haunted house trope in, modern day. Most times we see the haunted house as this thing that is a place of, complete disrepair. And we believe that it's going to be this subversion, right? Because we get to the cradle where Blaine is. Blaine as we understand him. And it is completely pristine, completely taken care of, because the destruction cannot touch it. Well, that is subverted and then re-subverted because Blaine, is over all of this. It's not just a haunted house. It's not just a ghost train. It is a ghost city. And, one that was the crowning achievement of this old civilization, right? So you're right, Murph, about the world building that is brought into this, because we are looking at people who cannot cope with even the functioning parts of what was left behind, So the failure of technology and the complete kind of amoral approach to, what a human life is worth is a topic, in Stephen King's overall work. That is something that you could breed into The Stand, like that is an overall moral, is technology versus any kind of natural view of the way that, life should be valued overall, and you look at that, via Mother Abigail versus Randall Flagg, etc. Like, it is a kind of hippy-dippy book. I don't know if I subscribe to it 100%, but it's definitely there, and that's what it puts forward. This is very much similar to that. And this looks like, at times, a first draft of what would be my favorite chapter in that book, of The Stand, which we're going to get to and we're going to talk to at length. But the whole, No Great Loss chapter. Do you remember that, Evan?
I'm not sure if I do.
Yeah, this is a chapter I think was added. It was possibly added in the rewrite, but it was like after everybody had died, and most of the infrastructure was down. Like, people who it was the second wave of deaths that happened due to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just the fact that there were no ambulances. So, like, hey, electricity is still on, but nobody's really monitoring it, so maybe my stove will blow my house up. No great loss. So it is a whole chapter that is just this litany of deaths that happened because society had broken down. They didn't die to the plague, but they died to the fact that just life was not set up for them to continue acting like it was.
Wow, that you've evoked a lot of memories, and I actually remember this chapter.
It's really good.
I remember it being affecting at the time.
So when I say it's a prototype, that doesn't make any sense because this was written 11 years, 12 years after The Stand was. But it is, this whole societal death that is brought in, and you are like supposed to question how much life is worth in the society. And so, like, this whole chapter, like, I love Blaine. I think that Andrew Quigg, I think that the Tick Tock Man is a really, really good villain. I think that they really like backload this book with really good stuff. But that is the thing that sticks out most to me, that this is a city that was doomed and dead and dying even before Blaine decided to pull the trigger. Yeah. So, thank you to all of you for coming in. Next episode is going to be about the final chapter. Might be a short one, but there will be some wrapping up and some summarizing. It'll be the chapter, I think, Riddles and Wastelands is what it is called. The intervening chapter, the intervening like kind of like mid-season that we're going to do, is going to feature The Mist. It's going to feature a two-parter on The Stand, the Dark Tower movie, and the It movie. So it's going to be kind of a long mid-season in order to emulate the long wait between The Wastelands and Wizard and Glass. But all of that is good stuff that I want to cover because it is important for the context of the show. So keep your ear to the ground for those details. And we will see you then. But until then, let's go in alphabetical order. Chase, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at TQLoudly. You can also find me on my own podcast, Another Path, anotherpathpodcast.com. It's a D&D play podcast. I am the GM, and I take 3 of my friends on some wacky misadventures that I mostly write, and the other parts I just kind of make it up as I go.
Nice. Well, still writing. It's just different
just
amounts of preparation. Yeah. Nice. That is Another Path, in case you needed to hear that again, and that will be in show notes.
Excellent.
Yep. Let's see, Evan, where can people find you?
I am at Mr_Harder on Twitter. I'm also doing I'm still doing the at Very Good Cereal Reviews on Instagram, which is
it's a very good Instagram.
Definitely something that I would love it if you checked out. I'm having a lot of fun with that.
It is not what it seems.
It is the most successful creative endeavor I have ever undertaken, which kind of pisses me off, but I'm okay.
You can use it for a launch pad,
Yeah, I mean, Ilana Glazer from Broad City followed the account, so I'm doing something.
Shit, that's awesome!
Oh,
congratulations!
Yeah. She has not reached out yet. We are not friends at this point.
No, but she's paying attention.
Right. But or something. Yeah. So that's pretty fun. And that's kind of what I'm up to right now.
Murph, how about you?
You can find me at dinosaursarecool.com, which has, I don't know, all the Murph stuff I do. I have a podcast called Dork Night, which I use the Twitter handle at Dork Night Show.
Yep.
Tweet at me. I'm on there too much.
Watching the world fall apart.
Yep. Oh boy. Oh door. Oh. Yeah. It's for context, it's the craziest time, and it just gets crazier.
Yep. No, there is no bottom.
Nope.
This is the water, and this is the well. Yeah.
But yeah, tweet at me some dank memes.
Yeah, do.
I need, it's crazy, and we just need a little bright meme in the darkness.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to crack open a cold one with the boys.
Ooh, yep. Some bone hurting juice. Am I memeing right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. You can find me at Cole Ross on Twitter. That is KOLEROSS because my parents spelled my name weird. Also at other shows on Duckfeed.tv. This might be the first episode we've recorded since we redesigned the Patreon. You might be hearing this episode a week early, or you might be hearing this at the right time and think, man, I want to hear the next episode a week early. That'd be pretty cool. In which case, you can go to patreon.com/DuckFeed.tv and check out the rewards there. We really appreciate it. Otherwise, please tell your friends about this show, especially with the Dark Tower movie coming out. This is a point where, people might be really interested in Stephen King's works or about Roland's adventures in Midworld, etc. And we really don't market this show otherwise. So if you get a chance to bring it up, say, hey, if you're reading these books or interested in them, here are these people who make a big deal out of going through them, and we would like that. I would very much enjoy if you did. But otherwise, we'll be back in 2 weeks with the final chapter of The Wastelands. And until then, long days and pleasant nights.